which F1 teammate finishes in 2025?
This video is sponsored by the wonderful people over at Squarespace. Now, before we dive into our selections of who we think is going to finish higher, let's explain the format, Tommy. Okay, so we're going to say who we think will win out in a teammate battle, but we're also going to add a rating from 1 to 10 of how confident we are. 1 being we're not sure at all. It's literally just we've just thrown it into the wind. 10 is it's absolutely happening. Does that make sense, Tommy?
It sure does. Yeah, 10, we're 100% confident. 1, we're not confident at all, but we still think that person's going to win, essentially.
And we also got your opinion. So we got you to vote in a poll as to who you think is going to win out in that teammate battle. So we have a percentage to share at the end of each one as well. So we've just got all the data. Very exciting. Let's get into it and start with Sauber. Nico Hulkenberg versus Gabriel Bortoleto. I have locked in Nico Hulkenberg to win out in this battle. My certainty, 7 out of 10. So I had written like an 8 or a 9 because I think Nico Hulkenberg, in what is quite possibly definitely 100% going to be a dustbin, he's very good in those kind of cars, and he's very good at maximising results in midfield to rubbish cars. Hulkenberg has had some star performances, as we saw previously at Haas, where he's put the car where it doesn't belong. But the reason I've gone for a 7 out of 10, which is still like relatively confident, is that Gabriel Bortoleto is a bit of an unknown quantity. So I'm going to give him a bit of a benefit of the doubt at this point and think, right, okay, Gabriel, let's see what the first few races hold. Of course, he's the Formula 2 champion. He's got a bit of hype around him, not a huge amount, but I think it's a really good atmosphere and a good team for him to go into because there will be zero expectations on his shoulders. Sauber, coming into this year, they'll be happy with a point. I think Nico will probably score a few points in that car. But yeah, I think Bortoleto's got a nice chance to be able to grow within that team. So that's why I've not gone for a full 10 out of 10.
So I'm kicking off early with a controversial opinion, and I'm going for Bortoleto to beat Hulkenberg over the season.
Tommy!
And I am so confident with this that I have gone for a 1 out of 10.
Oh, I love it when we disagree.
I know. We're starting new year, new us, right? My logic here is that this is not, it's not discrediting Hulkenberg. I think Gabriel Bortoleto has done fantastically well in his in F2, F3. Won F2 as a rookie. He's brilliant. He had some amazing drives. So I think he's going to be a real talent. But even that aside, I think my logic here is that Sauber are going to score very few, if any, points. And if you look at last year and you'd have said, I think Zhou's going to win, everyone would think you're absolutely insane. But it might only take one performance where you get into that kind of top moment and have like a, I'll say, I hate to kind of bring this up again for poor Nico Hulkenberg, but the crazy races where points and kind of miracles can happen haven't always been Nico Hulkenberg's strongest kind of category, if you like.
I would like to interject here and say that, yes, when a podium is up for grabs, that's when shaky hands at the wheel happen for Nico Hulkenberg and shaky legs. But he's a very good point scorer.
A point might as well be a podium for that dustbin.
He's not going to start shaking for 10th place, is he?
Well, I'll go for Bortoleto. I'm backing Bortoleto to surprise.
Interesting. Well, the fan vote completely disagrees with you, Tommy, because 90.2% believe Nico Hulkenberg will win out, which means Gabriel Bortoleto got 9.8% of the vote. If you're looking to create a stunning website, Squarespace is your go-to platform. It's an all-in-one solution that really empowers entrepreneurs. I've been using it, and let me tell you, the experience has been fantastic. One of my favourite features is Design Intelligence. It combines 2 decades of design expertise with AI, helping you craft a personalised website that truly reflects your brand. It's like having a design expert by your side. Then there's Squarespace Payments, where managing transactions is so simple. You can accept a variety of payment methods, making it super convenient for your customers. And let's not forget Blueprint AI. This tool helps you build a custom site in just a few clicks. It takes your basic info and transforms it into a beautifully designed website. complete with curated content that matches your aesthetic. If you want to give it a try, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, check out squarespace.com/P1 to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Trust me, you won't regret it. Let's go to Williams. Alex Albon versus Carlos Sainz.
I've gone for Carlos Sainz, and I've gone for a 9 out of 10. I think this is... I think people are maybe unfairly sort of using their thinking of that Carlos Sainz is going to do a great job to kind of discredit Albon. I don't think Alex Albon is a bad driver at all. I just think Carlos Sainz is a very good one, and far too good to be in a Williams. And I think he's shown brilliant consistency. We've seen that against Charles Leclerc, when I don't think Carlos Sainz is a better driver than Charles Leclerc or faster than Charles Leclerc, but in the points, they're not that far off because he delivers. And I think that Carlos is going to be a perfect fit for Williams, where he can essentially be the one to deliver lots of points, and he'll be the one to push that car to the kind of the next level and be the one to make sure it is getting points.
Okay, I've also gone for Carlos Sainz with a certainty of 8 out of 10. I similarly believe what you say, Tommy. I think Carlos Sainz is a fantastic driver. Albon has yet to kind of prove himself in this Williams outfit against a competent teammate. I just think that Carlos is going to just rag that Williams to places it doesn't belong. That's a strange sentence, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I think that he will be desperate to prove himself at Williams, even though, of course, it is a downgrade from Ferrari, and a lot of us believe that it was unfair on him, in the sense of, not unfair the fact Lewis Hamilton got the seat, because anyone would move over for Lewis Hamilton, sadly. Most drivers would. But for Carlos Sainz, I think that at Williams he will thrive. He will get great points positions, in my opinion. And the reason I've not gone for a 10 or a 9 is that Albon has been at Williams for quite some time. He knows the team very well. He knows the car very well. So I wouldn't put it past Albon being close to Carlos, perhaps beating him on occasion. But I think once Carlos is up to speed, that's when he'll really start to show his talent. So yeah, 8 out of 10. The fans have gone for 87% Carlos Sainz, which gives Alex Albon 13% of the vote. Let's go to Racing Balls. Yuki Tsunoda versus Isaac Hadjar. I have locked in Yuki Tsunoda with a certainty. I'm getting less certain as I'm thinking about it. 5 out of 10. A 5 out of 10 certainty for Yuki Tsunoda. It's just, I can't get past the fact that I think Sonoda coming into this year is going to feel quite frustrated with the situation that he's been put in. He proved that he should absolutely be stepping up to that Red Bull seat for an opportunity. It hasn't happened. He's at the same team again. Whether that would translate into it or that's just complete nonsense, we'll find out. But I think that as well, similar to Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hadjar had a very decent Formula 2 season. He again is an unknown quantity, and I think that Yuki Tsunoda isn't the full package yet. He still has mistakes in him, and Liam Lawson did a fantastic job in the amount of races that he had compared to his teammate. So let's see what Isaac Hadjar manages to do, and that's why I've gone for a 5 out of 10. I don't know what I'm doing, kind of. Yeah.
I've gone for Yuki Tsunoda, and I've gone for a 7 out of 10. Yes, I've gone for Yuki. I think he'll be experienced now. Well, very experienced in that team. And he's a very quick driver. But I do think there will still be those moments of chaos, which sometimes when Yuki can have a bad race, he can have a bad race. You know, his bad races are not him finishing 18th. He sometimes, can crash in a quali session, then crash in the race, and it kind of all go horribly wrong and get really frustrated.
Okay, the fan vote, Yuki Tsunoda, 90%, which gives Hadjar 10% of the vote going into this season. Haas, Ollie Behrman versus Esteban Ocon.
So I've gone for Esteban Ocon. But just a 4 out of 10 for this one. I think this will be a very close teammate pairing. You've got in my opinion, a kind of not quite veteran, but a driver that's been in the sport quite a while now, and in my opinion is very underrated. And versus Ollie Bearman, who's an exciting young talent and obviously did an amazing job when he came in for his kind of substitutes that he had during last season. But I think Ocon's experience will be the thing that kind of helps him get this over the line. Just kind of, while Ollie Bearman has kind of gone in for multiple races and done a great job, I think it's very different to perform over an entire season.
Okay, dramatic drum roll, please, because I disagree. Ollie Bearman wins out in this teammate rivalry this year, and my certainty of it is a 4 out of 10. No disrespect to Ocon here. I just truly believe that Ollie Bearman is a special talent. He's not had a consistent run of races to actually get up to speed in Formula One. He's now going to have testing. He's going to have everything to kind of really embed himself in the sport now. And he's always impressed, whether it's in practice, whether it's in these random races where he's been called up on a Friday to come and do a race. Like, I genuinely believe once Ollie Bearman is up to speed, he's going to be a phenomenal talent. And I think we're going to see that over the course of this season. Whether he'll come out the blocks firing, that's another matter. But he is very quick and he's shown that. So I think it's going to be very close between the two of them. I'm not saying that he's going to wipe the floor with Ocon, but I do genuinely believe that Bearman is a really good driver. So let's see. The fan vote, more split with this one. 63% going in favour of Ocon, 37% to Bearman. So some people believing in the potential delusion of what I believe. So, okay, let's go to Alpine. Pierre Gazley versus Jack Doan. Oh, God, this is not going to make for good viewing or good listening. I've gone for Pierre Gazley, and it's a 10 out of 10. Now, there are two things to this. One, I do think Gazley would win in a whole season quite easily, I think, just purely with the experience. From what we've seen so far of Doan, I don't think there's too much to write home about. But secondly, I don't think Doan lasts the whole season. So I think Gazley is going to win out 100% because of that as well. Again, the cards aren't in Doan's favour here. It seems very much Colapinto. I heard, I don't know if this is absolute fact, that Colapinto signed for like 5 years.
He's got a long contract or something,
So he's got a big old contract with Alpine. There's no way he's signing for a reserve driver contract.
I really want to be a reserve driver for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be very difficult for Doan. Not only is he coming into his first full season in Formula One, but he's got this insane pressure on him as well. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. Gazley wins.
I've also gone Pierre Gazley 10 out of 10. There's some obviously like rivalries here and going through that ones are a bit closer. But I think this one is the easiest 10, and I feel really sorry for Jack Doan that the guy's not even started the season yet, and there's already talk of him being replaced, and it seems very likely that it's going to be. Alpine, we saw at the back end of last year, the confidence that Gazley had in that car when I very much feel like it was becoming Team Gazley, and they could, Gazley just flew when he got those new upgrades and things. Did an amazing job, so I think he's going to have a great year. And then there's also the fact that I feel so bad for Doan, but I really do think he's going to last like 5 or 6 races.
The fan vote, 97% believe Gazley will win out, which means 3% think Doan defies all odds, keeps his seat, and beats Gazley across the whole season.
Wins the first 3 races before he's replaced, and it's enough to keep him ahead.
The scenes? That would be wild. Let's go to Aston Martin. Fernando Alonso versus Lance Stroll.
I've gone for Fernando Alonso. No way. I've gone for a 10 out of 10 as well. No way. I did almost contemplate going for like less than a 10 here, just because my kind of theory is not as extreme as a Sauber, but I don't think that Aston Martin are going to do well, so I don't think there'll be as many points on the table. But then even looking at the kind of back end of last year when the Aston was terrible, it was still Fernando Alonso that was beating Stroll every race and kind of getting into the points, and Stroll's just not improving as a driver. How much more can be said? It's Fernando Alonso against Lance Stroll.
Yes, I've also gone for Fernando Alonso, unsurprisingly, with a 10 out of 10. because there is no way in hell anything else happens, in my opinion. I can't see it. Stroll isn't even really delivering on these random occasions that we may have seen 5 years ago from him. And Alonso, the motivation's going to be there. Adrian Newey, walking around the factory, don't do that. Why are you cutting that up? Just little things like that, he'll start making a little bit of impact, I think. It's not going to be massive into this year, but Alonso's going to be excited for sure, and I think he's going to wipe the floor with Stroll personally. So that's why I've got 10 out of 10 confident, very, very confident. The fans, Alonso 98%, Stroll 2%. Did they buy that vote? Did the Stroll family buy that?
That was 2%? Lawrence. 1%, Lance, the other.
We had more than 100 votes. Anyway,
yeah, we did.
mathing. Right, let's go to Mercedes. George Russell versus Kimi Antonelli. I've gone for George Russell with a certainty of 8 out of 10 because George beat Lewis Hamilton twice out of 3 seasons. George is a consistent driver, a very consistent driver, and he's got a fantastic drive in him every so often as well. I cannot see Kimi Antonelli, as much as I can see Kimi doing some star performances, the occasional podium, or even maybe a victory this year, who knows? But over the course of a season, I think George will win this one. The reason it's not a 10 is because Kimi is massively hyped. He may well live up to the hype, but I cannot see him outscoring George Russell. So that's why I've gone for an 8 out of 10.
I've gone for Kimi Antonelli, because of course I have.
It better be a 1 out of 10.
I've gone for a 2 out of 10. My personal thoughts is by the end of the year that Antonelli is better than Russell. The reason I've not gone for kind of all in with it is because, like you say, I think Antonelli will still have his moments where he's a bit crash happy and stuff, and George can have that in him as well, where he's makes the odd mistakes, but he's more of a consistent driver throughout a whole season, and we've seen that point scoring consistently throughout the year, whereas Antonelli could be a bit more up and down. But I'm just really excited to see Antonelli.
We will see. The fans, George Russell gets 92% of the vote, so a lot of confidence there. Kimi Antonelli 8%, so Tommy is one of the 8%, which is very interesting. Red Bull, Max Verstappen versus Liam Lawson.
I've gone for Max Verstappen with a 10 out of 10. This one is also incredibly easy. Lawson, at the end of the day, isn't there to beat Max Verstappen anyway. And Helmut Marko, that has even said himself that they don't need that driver to come in and beat Max Verstappen. And even if they were talented enough to beat him, it's Max's team, but I don't think that's even a question anyway. Max is, he showed at the end of last year his talent. He's been a complete teammate killer in Formula One anyway. And I think it's just going to be all in Max's favour. Can't see Lawson getting anywhere near him, even though I don't think he'll do as bad of a job as Perez, but to beat Max, just absolutely no chance.
So I gone for Liam Lawson. Because I think Red Bull aren't going to score any points this year, and Liam Lawson's going to score 1. No, of course, it's Max Verstappen with the certainty of 10 out of 10. Do I even need to explain my reasoning? Max Verstappen is the best driver on the grid. Liam Lawson is entering a team where the car is very suited to Max's driving style. Liam knows that already. That's not to say that Liam won't drive well. I think I have hopes for him to do better than Perez. Not that that's a huge benchmark to beat, but yeah, I think Max will again just teammate killer. That's a question that will he end another driver's career? That seems to be a trend that Max does, or at least kicks them out of the team to send them somewhere else. But yeah, Max will win 100% on this one. That's why I've gone for a 10 out of 10. The fans, 99% have gone for Max Verstappen, which means 1% of you are jokers and went for Liam Lawson. Watch
From
this
New Zealand.
age terribly and Liam Lawson wins the championship. That would be quite something, wouldn't it? Ferrari, Charles Leclerc versus Lewis Hamilton.
The big one.
My boy. I've gone for Charles. Obviously, I've gone for Charles with a certainty of a 5 out of 10 certainty that Charles Leclerc wins out against Lewis Hamilton. Even when I say that, I'm like, oh, Oh, Lord. It generally could go either way, but I do believe that Charles will have the advantage, of course, being at Ferrari now for many years. Hamilton coming into a new team, he will be motivated out of his mind to do well at Ferrari. And I'm not saying that Hamilton's going to have a poor season, but I also believe that Charles Leclerc delivers almost every single season with whatever car Ferrari decide to give him. Charles is right there. In qualifying, he's sensational. Hamilton has struggled in qualifying, so that's another thing where I believe Charles will have the advantage maybe most weekends on a Saturday. Can Hamilton turn that into amazing race pace on a Sunday? I don't think we're going to see if George starts first and Hamilton starts last, they'll finish together kind of vibe, because I do think that Charles is brilliant in races as well, but he's slightly better on a Saturday, in my opinion.
I have gone for Lewis Hamilton. And I think it's going to be incredibly close. Goodbye, Matt. I think it's going to be incredibly close between the two of them as Matt leaves the room. Because, yeah, I can see Hamilton. Maybe I'm kind of caught up in the hype of Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, you are.
We're recording this first day of him in a Ferrari, but he's going to be so motivated, so excited. And I said this before that Hamilton had this awful season last year in inverted commas and was still incredibly close to George Russell, who was being lauded as having this amazing season. And Hamilton's going to be way more motivated than he was at Mercedes. His consistency in the races, I think, is going to be more than Charles. I think Charles is the quicker driver, but I think I think one of Charles' very few weaknesses is the tendency to maybe go on a bit of a bad run, which and have like the odd incident and push the car too hard. So that's why I've gone for Hamilton.
A bad run? He had a bad run of like 3 or 4 races out of a 24 race calendar, and he's known as having bad runs. That's crazy from you. That's crazy slander. How dare you have an opinion? And I needed us to agree on that one like we usually do, so that's absolutely disgusting from you.
I'm liking this.
What was your certainty? I wasn't really listening because I was too busy
1.
storming out the room. 1 out of 10. All right, I'll allow that.
I just think it's going to be so
You're
close.
rolling the
I think
dice.
it will.
You're
I think
rolling
it
the
will be very similar to. I think it could literally go down to like whether that's going down to the final race and it's a championship battle between them.
God, that would be outrageous.
Can you imagine? But or even just a case of like they are literally like 5 or 6 points separate going into the last race, even if it's for the fight for P2 or P3 or whatever it will be.
The fans, 75% went for Charles Leclerc. I think that's weighing it slightly heavily in Leclerc's favour potentially, but Hamilton gets 25% of that vote. And finally, McLaren, Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri.
I have gone for Lando Norris, and I am so confident that Lando Norris is going to wipe the floor with Piastri. I've gone for a 2 out of 10. I think the end of the season, that final race in Abu Dhabi has kind of maybe changed a lot of people's perception of Lando, that he's, he can now handle the pressure going into the next season. Am I convinced that's the case? I'm still not entirely sure. There was a lot of moments last year where it cost him, and over an entire Formula One season, it's incredibly difficult to maintain that consistency. If you'd have asked me this question when Oscar Piastri was having his amazing run in the middle of the season, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm back in Oscar this year. But he did tail off towards the end of the season. I think he will improve his game and be a lot closer to Lando. But I think maybe Lando just beats Oscar over the season, but I'm not hugely confident in it. I think this one I found, quite difficult.
Okay. I've gone for Lando Norris as well with a 4 out of 10 certainty. I think Lando will win out in this one. I believe he is the quicker driver currently. Whether Oscar Piastri takes another step up into this year and continues the trajectory of improvements, that's an unknown at the moment. I would have been more confident perhaps in Oscar doing better if he'd finished the season the way he had that stint, as we mentioned, where he was really doing well. But he didn't. He kind of fell off the ball a little bit, or went off the ball a little bit towards the end of the season. So I do think Lando, over the course of an entire race calendar, will win out once again. And they are the favourites to win the championship. Will Oscar have to slot in if Lando has a fantastic start to the year and McLaren once again are the quickest car, or are we going to have this debate again of two number one drivers and this, that and the other? And there's a lot of question marks over this season because, in my mind, I do think McLaren are going to be the favourites. So will that play against Oscar Piastri if he does have to help his teammate against the two flying Ferraris? 4 out of 10 certainty. The fans gave Lando Norris 75% of the vote, which means Oscar Piastri gets 25%.
Same as Ferrari then.
Yeah,
75, 25. Interesting.
So, have I disagreed with the fans once? Yes, I disagreed with Ollie Behrman, and that's.
And I disagreed.
You disagreed
for
with Bortoletto
and Antonelli and Hamilton. So 3.
Yeah, God, is this new Tommy?
And we disagreed with each other, which is the important thing.
Yeah, new season, new
Exciting.
Tommy. He wants to go to combat.
Or it's just an incredibly unpredictable season, and that's going to be so much more fun with opinions and reaction and predictions and stuff. I cannot wait.
Me neither. Very excited. Can't wait. Thank you everybody for getting involved in the poll as well and kind of giving us some stats to give your guys' opinion within the podcast. We want to do more and more of that across this season and beyond. Thank you everybody, as always, for watching and listening. Hope you're having a lovely January and looking forward to Formula One coming back in a matter of months. Which I'm trying to make it sound like it's not a long time. It still kind of is a long time, but we've got the launch coming in a few weeks.
A few weeks away from that big launch.
Exactly.
Now, so.
And we will hopefully be live for that. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be good fun to watch along with everyone. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.
Bye.